again, guys, and welcome back to Not the Games Room for a change. So I've moved location because I've just had a delivery today, and this is something I've been waiting quite a long while for. Quite a long while ago I backed the Resident Evil 3 board game on Kickstarter, and it has finally arrived. So this is from Steam Forged Games. I also bought the Resident Evil 2 Kickstarter, which came out a few years ago. As we all know though, the thing with Kickstarter is you have got quite a long while to wait, so I'm pleased to be finally able to open this one today. So join me in unboxing the Resident Evil 3 board game. Okay, so without further ado, let's crack into this box. So what actually surprised me was how quick this did get here. This has come all the way from America. I think at one point it did get stuck on the canal via that time when, you know, that barge got stuck, but it is finally here. Also, before we dive into the box, I'd just like to take this time just to point out my very fetching Resident Evil Umbrella Corporation t-shirt. Quite a nice find on eBay, quite subtle, but yeah, let's jump in. So, straight away, it's actually a pretty large box, pretty well packaged, and I can tell you as well, this thing is surprisingly heavy. So, straight out of the box, you can see, here we have the Resident Evil board game, which it appears they have announced another one. So Resident Evil, the board game, is looking to be coming out this year. So this is something I didn't actually know. So as I said, they've done the board game for Resident Evil 2, now Resident Evil 3. It seems that Resident Evil the board game will be coming to Kickstarter in October 2021. So that's really exciting to see that. Let's dig deeper into the box. So the first thing we got here is the Resident Evil 3, the board game Kickstarter exclusive box. So when you backed this on Kickstarter, there was quite a few exclusive pieces. So we're going to see which one's in here. The problem is, it has been such a long while since I ordered this, I can actually not remember some of the exclusives. So it'd be cool seeing these again for the first time, it seems. So nice little box here, and these are some of the exclusive miniatures. As you can see, these are some really cool, well-detailed miniatures. I'm sure I'm going to get some of the names here absolutely wrong. We're going to try and go through each of these miniatures. So here we have one of the Jill Valentine ones, and we'll be getting a decent close-up of all of these as well. So there's quite a few sculpts of each character. So as you can see, another one there with the pistol. Another alternative sculpt here. As I said, these ones are exclusive to the Kickstarter. That's why it was one of those games I definitely wanted to back, to get those exclusive miniatures. So going into some of the Special Forces teams. This one's definitely one of the cooler Jill casts I think they've done. As you can see, kind of in the action pose there, running presumably from the Nemesis. Really cool one here with the rocket launcher. Again, very cool sculpt. So there's 8 miniatures in here. Very serious looking one there with the crossed arms. And finally, another action one there with the pistol. This is one of the reasons it's always cool to kind of cover the games on Kickstarter. Just to get those extra miniatures is the only way you're going to be able to get them. Okay, let's dive back in. Next part of the box, we have the Resident Evil 3 the board game, The Last Escape expansion. So this is one of the expansions that came with it. So last time when I did the Resident Evil 2 expansion, there was a lot of extra stuff you could buy for the game. This one kind of had 1 or 2 add-ons. I didn't go too all out from this time, but this was one that was included with the main pledge. So that was pretty cool. So let's get into this one, see what's inside. So one of the things I do really like about these Resident Evil releases is the quality is absolutely fantastic. Like, these are well put together boxes. So inside here we have the rulebook, of course, very important for any board game, which is really nice. Like, flicking through here, this is basically where you're going to read through all the rules of the game and also explain all the ways you play and all the different scenarios. This roughly follows the original Resident Evil 3 storyline, which is pretty cool. Like, rather than a remake, this is the original PlayStation 1 version of the game. So in here we have one of the tiles. So one of the things they did say about these tiles, in comparison for the ones used in Resident Evil 2, these tiles are a lot lighter. So on here you can see the walls a little bit better. If you ever played this Resident Evil 2 Kickstarter, some of those tiles were pretty dark. Again, in here we have a lot of miniatures. One of the really cool things they have done about this game is on the side of the box it has names of everyone who did back this on Kickstarter. I'm not going to try and find my name now, but I presume it is in there. So let's get into this next box. Okay, so we're into our next box of miniatures. In here we have one of the packs of cards, so you kind of use these to see how the enemies react. So these are really cool. I'm not going to unwrap every single card. I want to leave a little bit of mystery for people who have backed the game. Also in here we have some of the equipment cards. You can see there. It's really cool, Resident Evil style. It has kind of graphics you'd expect from the game. So getting into some of these miniatures. Some of these there is multiples of. Some of them are slightly different, but this one is some of the crows. You can see that there. What I'll do afterwards is give a nice close-up of these miniatures. The name of this enemy does kind of escape me at the moment. They kind of fly, kind of ones like that. Again, all of these miniatures are like super high quality. Like they really didn't spare a lot of expense on the molds here, like especially when you look at some of the ones like the spiders. So really nice molds of the spiders, really kind of catches the fear that these enemies instill in people. Also in here again we have a large selection of characters, but what I'll do now is cut so you have a closer look at all these miniatures. So as I said earlier in the video, one of the complaints people had from Resident Evil 2 Kickstarter board game was the fact some of the tiles are really dark. So it is really cool that with this one they actually have reprinted the tiles from Resident Evil 2. So these are included in the Kickstarter if you had already ordered the Resident Evil 2 originally. So it's really cool they included these as a little bonus. It's really good to see a company kind of like notice they've made a mistake and actually go out of their way to rectify that. So we're getting into the biggest part of the box now, and that is the main board of the main game. So this might take me a minute to get this one out. What you can see here then is the main component of the Resident Evil 3 the board game, and as you can see this is the Kickstarter edition. So I don't actually know if they're going to be putting these into retail at any point or just selling off excess copies, but this is the main box you get which has most of the components for the game. So this is the one we're going to jump into finally. Really dig into this one. So I just want to be super careful on the kind of covering here. So yeah, again, with all the games that Steam Forges make, these are super high quality. This is not like a cheap plastic, or sorry, cheap thin cardboard box. This is a very thick, very well done bit of packaging as well. Like you can see, it has it's very tightly packed in there. There's a lot of components in this game. It's really cool if you can see there the Umbrella logo is kind of embossed on top. So one of the main things you can see as soon as you jump in here, this is a quality item. They have literally put all these bits in to store all the components of the game, and they've used kind of, sometimes games have really rubbish inserts. This one have kind of had the custom bits built, which is, they are severely custom for this one. As you can see here, the trays literally have the Umbrella logo on top. Everything in here is even contained with foam to separate it. More cards in here. So I think eventually you can put all of the components of the game into this one box. The best thing about this one though was especially the miniatures. I'm going to break down each box individually, but as you can see here, once again embossed with that Resident Evil 3, the board game logo on there. So you have not one, but two boxes of miniatures. This is the thing that really kind of dragged me into covering this one and to putting the money towards it, was the fact that it had some really good goals for the Kickstarter. They were all absolutely smashed, and it just kept adding more and more miniatures, more and more game modes, and just making it better and better. So in here, these are just, some of these are just small components. These are the components that hold together your health bars, but also we have more cards in here. As I said, everything in here is held in place really nicely. This is a well-designed board game box. Some games it is impossible to get them back in the box. This one really looks like it's going to be easy to store and keep everything proper. But here comes the most exciting bit. I think this is the bit a lot of people have been waiting for, and that is seeing the molds of the Nemesis. So That is a really nicely detailed mold. What I'll do as well, I will give you some kind of close-ups of these just after. There you can see Nemesis with the rocket launcher. And we have one of the giant worms you face in that holy bit later in the game. So they are some of the bigger miniatures. You got the cool dice, which is specifically made for this game. You have red for the enemies and blue for the characters. I'm just kind of blown away with how well they have packaged this. Like, that is a well-organised board game box. One of the best ones I think I've seen for a long while. But let's have a closer look at these miniatures. We're now going to delve a little bit deeper into the box. So again, I really cannot get over how well packaged and how well put together this box is. So it is really good. This is one of the things I kind of like, when they kind of get this attention to detail of having this image inside the box. You know, if you ever played Resident Evil 3, this is synonymous with the game. You will see this every time you play. So there is a bit of a spoiler alert coming up here. So on the back of this piece, it does show you the missions and which order they're going to come in. So look away now if you don't want to see how the game goes. On the back here, it shows you the progression through the game. So this game is set so you do play each mission in order to get to the end. It has a really good story arc and does pretty closely follow the story and events of Resident Evil 3. Really excited to jump into this one. I think it's going to be a game that's going to take probably 10 to 15 hours to get through, so maybe 2 to 3 sessions, but really looking forward to jumping into it. Here we have the rulebook for the game, and again, the artwork on this is absolutely incredible. Like, running through, you have some iconic artwork from the Resident Evil game. You can really tell the people who made this really do love it as a game. Next up, we have the scenario book, which I kind of don't want to open because I don't want to spoil any of the ways through. But going from the start, it literally tells you how to set up the game, all the ways to lay out the board. And this is the first scenario, which is searching in the darkness. So on there, you can see it shows you how to lay out that map, and it shows you where to add the enemies and how they're going to react. But I'm not going to go any further into that book because I know there'll be people out there who want to play the game for themselves. Next in the box, we have the all-important tiles, and looking at these, you can really see they took the feedback from Resident Evil 2 really quite well, and they've made these a lot lighter. So there is a large selection because basically they want it so you can cover all the areas you're going to visit. Especially on this one, you can see the very iconic Raccoon Police Department tile. It just shows you how much detail they've kind of put into this game. These are really thick cardboard, really well put together. Here you can see the kind of boards for the characters. You have the health there, which is really cool because it looks exactly how it does in the game. Going from the green, the yellow to the red. You have your injuries, typewriters, all the bits like that. These are all really high, very well made quality components for the game. That's one thing, they really didn't spare much expense with this one. Also, you can see there, one of the bigger tiles I've seen in this game. That is a 4x4 tile, so that is a very, very large tile. So there we have it, guys. That was the unboxing of Resident Evil 3, the board game Kickstarter edition. So it was a little bit different than we're normally used to, but I think this kind of goes into enough of the video games theme to kind of fit with the channel. But this is an absolutely amazing Kickstarter. I'm really pleased I backed this one. It does take a long while for them to make it, but you can really see they've put a lot of time and effort and detail into this release. It surely is a labour of life, and another one I'm really glad that Steamforged put the time into to really give it the justice it deserves. Also, I think one of the most exciting things to take away is that Resident Evil, the board game, will be coming autumn 2021. So that's really cool. I'm really excited for Resident Evil, the board game, to come out. As I say, I backed on Kickstarter Resident Evil 2 and of course Resident Evil 3, so I definitely come autumn 2021, I'll be back in this one day one and trying to get more of those sweet Kickstarter bonuses. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Normally here we do talk a lot more about video games than board games, but if you know me, I am a massive board game fan as well. So let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more kind of video game based board games. I have quite a few in the collection. There seems to be a surprising crossover between board games and video games. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Dan the Games Man. And as always, keep playing the game, be it board games or video games. See you later.